This exhibition uses the human body to question how we follow an ideal. Adoration can be directed towards a religious figure, a celebrity, or a personal role model. I'm looking for commonalities that overlap various scenarios to help create a universal point of access for viewers.
Humans are painfully self-aware, often primping, grooming, and modifying the body with varying degrees of permanence. Tattoos, scarification, and various surgeries bring the human form closer to a perceived ideal. Permission for these modifications varies. A tongue piercing is usually done willingly, but ear piercing is often performed on someone not yet old enough to consent on their own. All of it is done for the pursuit of a standard, either sacred or secular. Degrees of dedication for these acts can vary greatly. Some are permanent and require great tribute, often with pain. Some are temporary and can be dashed away later. A mark on the skin can be done with an airbrush or with a branding iron. The human nose can be changed with surgery or with makeup. A binary of adoration is explored in Movement 1. There are skull fragments and a pair of soda-fired busts. One bust shows a similar piece of skull being worn as a mask. That figure could easily remove it, along with the fragment's attributes. The other figure has merged with the mask, committing to that choice and allowing the skull to become part of him. While the figure wearing the mask has taken on some of its attributes, the committed figure is overcome by them. This binary is expanded into a spectrum with Movement 2. There are 6 life-size sculptures facing a flat image of an additional figure. Against the far wall is Ideal. Depending on a gallery's lighting, Ideal can be either shown emanating from a microprojector secured inside the head of the closest sculpture, or via a commercially printed poster. Ideal is a nude man with a skull for much of his face. He is hypermasculine with a flowing beard and body hair accentuating his impossibly muscled physique. He is surrounded by tiny flashes of magenta light. Above trivial notions of modesty, he freely exposes his genitals, including an intact foreskin that comments directly against both religious and secular circumcision. I felt this crucial to promote, as I firmly believe that any non-essential body modification should require consent. As a 2D image, Ideal represents a goal that's intangible and unattainable. He can be read as earthly or divine. The other figures are defined by their level of devotion and adherence to what they think he represents. The figure the most adherent to Ideal is Zealot. Of all 6 sculptures in Movement 2, Zealot is the least cropped, the most refined, has the most plausible of skin tones, and his hair is made of the thinnest individual strands. This figure represents the true believer, who is willing to do anything to make himself more like Ideal. To emulate the 2D image's half-skull head, Zealot has cut away the flesh from the lower half of his own face, revealing a portion of his own skull. Conversely, to emulate Ideal's intact genitalia, Zealot has attempted to reattach a foreskin, marked by surgical staples and the faintest traces of blood. Interestingly, the man who modeled for Zealot is attempting to restore his own by means of various stretching devices. Zealot's watery eyes gaze directly at Ideal, but the attempted eye contact is not reciprocated. Still, Zealot stands naked, vulnerable, and unashamed. Behind Zealot, the middle group has 2 figures. Innocent and Libation are both cropped at the waist. They show less of their forms than Zealot, but more than the 3 figures behind them. They have greater anatomical accuracy than that grouping, but not as much as Zealot. Both Innocent and Libation have skin tones similar to actual flesh, but Libation's is too cool, Innocent's is too warm. Their adherence to Ideal is moderate, more than the trio behind them, less than Zealot in front of them. Drinking is unquestionably a social event. For the sacred, it can be various bottles left at shrines, the chalice for communion, or the 4 glasses of wine at Passover. For the secular, it can be a toast to absent friends, celebrations of athleticism, or debaucherous drinking games. For this exhibition, Libation skillfully drinks from a skull above his head. With his too cool palate, the liquid takes on a violet hue that can be read as wine or blood. Children are commonly allowed alcohol on holidays and other special occasions. Whatever form it takes, the first drink is a memorable milestone. Alternatively, they are often given a playful facsimile of alcohol. Juice is served in a goblet or root beer in a stein. Innocent mimics his neighbor Libation. With Innocent's warmer palette, the red is now an orange and evokes images of various child-made messes. His pairing with Libation references the important, but often neglected role of men in child-rearing. Among the faithful are the faithless. They often pose the strongest, make the grandest gestures, or accuse others to mask their own lack of faith. They are represented in Movement 2 by 3 wall pieces. Their skins are the primary colors, their forms are the most exaggerated. They are the least adherent to ideal. Academic uses tongs to assemble a cranium made of mismatched shards from other skulls. He is cold, methodical, and attempts to piece together a source for adoration based on logic and science rather than faith. He tries to document and quantify every aspect of existence. He tries to capture knowledge of the sacred and secular, merging the two into a single plane. In the center is Imposter. His placement is aligned behind Zealot and Ideal, but where Zealot is exposed, realistic, and bare to Ideal, Imposter looks away. The skull face here is only a mask, and the blood is dyed fabric. Imposter shows a false dedication driven by ulterior motives. On Imposter's other side, Collector viciously seeks to gain adherence to Ideal by hoarding a cache of miniature plush skulls. Similar behavior is seen with sacred relics and secular collectibles. These stashes are so abundant that they are filled with frauds. Collector's hoard also references consumerism. Sacred places promote their own gift shops, overflowing with mass-produced trinkets. For the secular, numerous product lines are designed with the sole purpose of admirers scavenging a complete collection. Movement 3 is on the opposite side of the wall from Ideal. Where Ideal is a 2D image, Gärtner is real. He is the man behind the curtain to whom no one pays attention. In his right hand is a tiny skull from the same kiln and firing process as the bust in Movement 1. In between the fingers and thumb of his left hand is a bead of actual light that matches the one seen in Ideal. Beneath Gärtner is a pile of skulls. 6 of these skulls have surfaces and positions that mimic the 6 sculptures from Movement 2. Gärtner is a shadowy figure, but enhances others. He relates to the plastic arts and the acts of mentoring, teaching, and nurturing. He is the truth behind the illusion. Echoing back to the binary presented in Movement 1, Gärtner's mask is worn. He represents a real entity that has many roles and facets to his being, only one of which is currently presented. Ideal shows the skull fully fused because his followers are unable to view him in any other role.